I looked, and behold, a white cloud, and upon the cloud one sat like unto the Son of Man, having his head a golden crown, and in his hand a sharp sickle. And another angel came out of the temple, crying with a loud voice to him that sat on the cloud, Thrust in thy sickle and reap. For the time is come for thee to reap, for the harvest of the earth is ripe. And he that sat on the cloud thrust in his sickle on the earth, and the earth was reaped. And another angel came out of the temple which is in heaven, he also having a sharp sickle. And another angel came out from the altar, which had power over fire, and cried with a loud cry to him that had that sharp sickle, saying, Thrust in thy sharp sickle, and gather the clusters of the vine of the earth, for her grapes are fully ripe. And the angel thrust in his sickle into the earth, and gathered the vine of the earth, and cast it into the great winepress of the wrath of God. And the winepress was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the winepress, even unto the horses' bridles, by the space of 1,600 furlongs. This prophecy has been spoken for years and been understood by all people even to this day, that one day there is going to be a great battle in the valley of Megiddo, and in that valley blood will rise to the horse's bridle. How did John know this? Betar was destroyed in 136 AD. It was destroyed by the Romans to quell a rebellion by Bar Kokhba. The man who followed Bar Kokhba was a false prophet named Rabbi Akiva. He was the one who gave him his power. He believed Bar Kokhba was the promised Messiah after Bar Kokhba had a seemingly miraculous victory over the Romans in 132 AD. He was filleted alive before seeing the second Jewish genocide consisting of around 600,000 Jewish men of war. Cassius mentioned that it was more than could be mentioned. He encouraged the Jews to follow this false Messiah. And this is the great rabbi of Judaism, the false prophet, Rabbi Akiva. The man he followed was Simon Bar Kokhba. He was an extremely ruthless leader of the Jewish revolt. He was peacefully followed for 3.5 years, and then he became insane for the following 3.5. Any recruits or followers of his were required to, according to the Talmud, cut off one of their fingers to show their loyalty to him. According to Eusebius, he generally persecuted the Christian Jews, and he did it with great zeal. He was more hateful but with less power than Nero when it came to the Christians. He did this because the Christians refused to fight against Rome. Later, his name was changed to Bar Kokhba, meaning son of the lie. According to the Jerusalem Talmud, when the Samaritan had brought the head of Simon Bar Kokhba to Emperor Hadrian, a snake was wrapped around it. This caused the emperor to say, had it not been for God who killed him, who would have been able to kill him? Does John really know the future? This is the question at hand. Did he know about Rabbi Akiva and Simon Bar Kokhba? They also made a coin for the 3.5 years that Israel had their independent state. Following the 3.5 years of peace of Simon Bar Kokhba and Rabbi Akiva, 3.5 years of war followed, where they had their independent state. A currency was created that was meant to be the only form of currency used in Israel. It had the image of a vine, and that vine represented Bar Kokhba as the vine, replacing Israel. Justin Martyr, one of the ancient saints, gave an account of this man. For in the Jewish war which now occurred, Bar Kokhba, the leader of the revolt of the Jews, ordered that Christians alone should be led to terrible punishments unless they would deny Jesus the Christ and blaspheme. Yohanan ben Napah, a Jewish scribe in the Israeli Talmud, said there were 80,000 pairs of trumpeters that surrounded Betar. Each one was in charge of a number of troops. Ben Kozaba was there, and he had 200,000 troops who, as a sign of loyalty, had cut off their little finger. The words of Cassius, the Roman historian, also mentions this event. Very few of them, the Jews, in fact survived. 50 of their most important outposts and 985 of their most famous villages were razed to the ground in fire. 580,000 men were slain in various raids and battles, and the number of those that perished by famine, disease, and fire was past finding out. Thus, nearly the whole of Judea was made a desolate, a result of which people had a forewarning before the war. For the tomb of Solomon, which the Jews regard as an object of veneration, fell to pieces of itself and collapsed, and many wolves and hyenas rushed howling into their cities. Many Romans, moreover, perished in this war. Therefore, Hadrian, in writing to the Senate, did not employ the opening phrase commonly affected by the emperors: "If you and your children are in health, it is well. I and the legions are in health." On account of the sins that caused the tragedy, they wrapped each one of the children, they being Romans, in his scroll, and burned him, and out of them all I alone have survived. The evil Hadrian had a large vineyard, 18 mile by 18 mile. It was the dimension of the distance from Tiberias to Sepphoris, which is found in the valley of Megiddo. They surrounded it by a wall made of the bones of those who were slain in Betar, as tall as the height of a man and as broad as the extent of the breadth of his hands. For 7 years, Gentiles fertilized their vineyards with Israelite blood rather than manure. Said Johanan, upon orders, voice of Caesar Hadrian, in Betar, they killed 80,000 myriads. Each myriad counts for 1,000. It's safe to say 8 million Jews were slain, but according to the Talmud, 80 million Jews were slain. Now they kept slaughtering the Jews until a horse sunk into blood up to his nose, and the blood would roll boulders weighing 40 seahs into the blood, flowed 4 mills into the sea. Now, if you might want to suppose that Betar was near the sea, in fact, it was 40 mills or miles from the sea. That brings us back to the beginning. And the winepress was trodden without the city, and blood came out of the winepress, even under the horses' bridles, by the space of 1,600 furlongs. Men have thought often that this was an exaggeration that was mentioned in Scripture, and there's no way that much blood could be spilt. But the Jewish Talmud, those who rejected Christ, are the ones who record the fulfillment of John's apocalypse of Revelation. How did John know what would happen to the Jews?